Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of From Page to Stage. I'm your host, Wendy Corner, and this podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneur. Page, stage come together in entrepreneurship. And you're going, what's this about? Well, you may have a contributory book out. You may have a solo book out. You may have a regular blog. If you're an entrepreneur, you've got socials out, haven't you? And what's that if it's not published work? Didn't think about that one, did you? Okay, tick that box. What about the stage thing? Well, a lot of the people that I work with go, oh, I'm shy, I'm an introvert, I couldn't possibly do the stage thing. And they go, who's your idea of a role model? Oh, Tony Robbins. Good, I'm glad you're not like him. He does him, you do you. So if you fit into that, I don't want to do the public speaking thing, my question is, can you have a one-on-one conversation with somebody? Yes, then you can do a podcast, just like we're doing now. No excuses. Come talk to me. If you're an entrepreneur, let's get you on the show so that you can share your wisdom with the world. Okay, now, this is going to be fun. I have the joy and pleasure of introducing you to this gorgeous lady, wonderful Morrison. And yes, that really is her name. So I know about that much of wonderful. She knows an awful lot more about herself. So I can pass the baton over, the buck to you. Tell us a bit about who you are and how you've got to where you are today. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Wendy. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here because I have been in the throes of my words in a book for 3 years. And I feel like I'm inching away more and more. And I honestly didn't think it would take me that long. But as we will discover, writing about other people, not a problem. Writing about yourself, big problem.
Yes, absolutely.
So, where I started is my husband and I started a business when we were 22, and it was all via divine accident, right? It wasn't what I originally went to school to be a journalist. I wanted to be a war correspondent, and then I met
Oh,
my husband at a college house party and fell madly in love. Then committed to a long-term relationship and was going to continue on and be like, okay, I'm still going to be a war correspondent. Then I became a mother, and I was not a very, my physical body was not good pregnant. So I needed to take a break from school and have our first child. And then, in the midst of raising a tiny human, a business came to land on our laps. And I remember thinking, this sounds like a fun adventure. You know, when you're 22, you think everything is an adventure. I was like, this is going to be a fun adventure. And he's like, okay, let's do it. But no bank would ever give us any money. Like, we're 22. I think the longest job I've had up until that point was like 6 months. And so the banks laughed us out of each one. After the third one, I thought, okay, this is depressing. This is really sad. And so we went on a road trip to his uncle's house, which was just down the street, but he lived on this piece of property that was always very serene and calm and was always a nice natural environment to be in, especially when you're just sad that no one believes in your dreams at 22. How dare them? So we go to visit his uncle, and he finds me crying underneath this big pine tree. And he's like, honey, what's wrong? And I tell him, the whole debacle of that experience. And he just gets up and walks away. And about 30 minutes later, he comes out with this thing called a check. If some of you audience don't know what that is, it's what was a thing for a long time of how we transferred and dispersed money. Is on
mhm.
a check with our signature on it. And he wrote us a check for the exact amount that this business was going to cost us. Now, the surprise isn't that sometimes we all wish we had like a rich hidden uncle. Okay, he did not portray that at all. Nowhere, the way he lived his life, you'd never in your wildest dreams think, there's no way this guy has just hidden cash away. And he
Hmm.
did. And he said, okay, now I want this back in 5 years. Right. And no interest. And my husband and I were like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this. So that started our journey into entrepreneurship. And we had that business for 20 plus years. We had a big celebration for our 20-year anniversary. And then 2 years, maybe a year or two after that, we both of us simultaneously got sick. Like I was diagnosed with hyperthyroid, to the point where if I had waited 2 weeks, I would have died from heart failure because my heart was beating so fast. I just thought it was because I was working so much.
Yeah.
And my husband also, he has comes from a long line of heart failures. Like all his uncles, that's how they've passed, is
Okay.
heart attacks. And he
Mm.
started feeling murmurs, and which
Mm.
it couldn't. And so we were kind of in the space where we needed a break, but our kids weren't quite old enough to take over the business. We had one in college, one going into college, one in high school, and we thought this is not going to work out. So we had a
Mm.
family friend who I considered a niece who was, I think, in her late 20s, early 30s, who'd already graduated college, was already in the corporate space, and didn't want to be in it anymore, who offered her services and said, I'll come help you guys out. And she'd been in the business with us since she was 12. So it was an easy,
Transition.
transfer of power to each other.
Yeah.
And so we spent like about 3 months walking her through all the things that we were doing in banks and things like that. And the summer of 2018, it was gone. She had, yeah, it was like one of those, it was like Schitt's Creek, where all of a sudden people are coming into your house taking your things because you didn't realize your accountant had been taking money away
Yeah.
from you inch by inch. Yeah, and the way we found out is I was driving to our physical location and the key didn't work in the
Uh,
door. And I thought, did I bring the wrong key? Which isn't out of norm because, when you own a
yeah.
business that has a building, you kind of have
Hmm.
these janitor set keys.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes. Yes.
thinking, well,
Yes.
maybe it's the wrong key, maybe and I tried calling her, texting her, nothing. And then I thought,
Mm.
well, maybe I'll just go to the bank, and in the process, because she'll be here maybe in an hour. So I go to the bank, and our banker, who we've known for years, she sees me come in. She's like, hey, and we haven't seen each other in a while because I've been at home recovering. She's like, hey, what are you doing here? And I thought, that's an unusual greeting. For 20 years, it's like, hi, we say hi to each other, know each other's families, things like that. And I was like, oh, I was gonna do some banking. And she's like, but you don't bank with us anymore. And I thought, what do you mean? And she's like, she came in, I think it was last week, and liquidated all your bank accounts and closed the account. And I was like, wait, what? I was stunned in the middle of
Yeah.
the bank. I thought, what do you mean? I just had to ask it multiple times just so I could hear something different, but nothing different came out of her mouth other than
Yes.
yeah, it's a done deal. And now I'm in panic mode. So I'm calling her, texting her, just nothing. I got nothing in return.
Yeah.
And it just so happens, like the way life works, as you know, right? It's not just a rainstorm, it's a tsunami that you didn't see coming. But
Hmm.
somehow there was reports on the news that the
Hmm.
tsunami was coming, but you weren't listening. You're like, oh, it's not gonna happen in my town. That's like,
Yeah.
well, the tsunami hit pretty hard because at the same exact within this 6 month period, our health declined, our business is stolen. We had some really giant legal situations happening, so it was just a perfect storm of collapse.
Yeah. Oh.
That
Oh.
blew, and this is 2018, right? So
Mm.
mind you, COVID didn't hit till 2020.
20. Yes.
So I have a year of panic of just, I mean, I feel like it was the entry point of a dark night of the soul,
Mm.
which leads me to what I do today, which is not anything I ever imagined I would be doing. But here I
Mm-hmm.
am, running an online boutique brand and marketing agency specifically
Ah,
for healers and coaches, which again, divine intervention, because that was not my goal. My goal after this kind of all happened, I was in such disarray and heartbreak that my goal was to drink as much wine as I could possibly take on and go get a job at a warehouse where I don't have to talk to people.
yeah.
That was because I wasn't good at being idle, so I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't sit at home and just
Yes.
be a, wine drinker. I needed some physical activity. And working
Yep.
out wasn't even a part, like, no, none of that. I needed something where it was monotonous and
Mhm. Didn't have to
not,
think.
you didn't have to think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
God.
that's how I got here. That's my story.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Very often entrepreneurs have been pushed into where they're at because there's been an experience that they've had, and that's given them a couple of light bulb moments because they've been through a minefield, got
Hmm.
a little bit bruised and battered on the way, but now they've got a roadmap to try something different. And that's where the entrepreneur's wisdom comes in. And that's where we love to see the entrepreneurs go, I could serve somebody else to give them the blueprint so they don't get blown up quite so much as I did. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic. So you mentioned that there's a book in the process.
Hmm.
And as you were saying, the very often, and audience, if you haven't committed your effort yet, do be prepared for it to be a cathartic experience.
Oh my gosh.
It's
I
unlikely to come out in one go without a pile of tissues, I would suggest.
Oh my gosh, you called it. So prior to this idea of writing a solo book, I had been in two other anthology style books.
Yes, yes.
So there's little pieces of me in those, which
Mm-hmm.
was difficult enough, right? When she said
Mm-hmm.
the expectations to each one is, oh, 3,000 words. I thought, how can I come up with 3,000 words? I can come up with maybe 1,000. Right. And I had the word count on, like word count. And then, you can't do and like fillers was unacceptable. I thought it was. And then I kept getting revised versions of like, can we go a little deeper here? Can we go a little deeper here? So that was the early stages of, oh, writing is a form of therapy that no one talks about.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You made the point earlier about it's all good and well being able to write about somebody else's stuff, but your stuff
Mhm.
is another matter.
Oof.
I can give you an example of actually on the speaking side that we had. I was head speaker coach at one of the Perth TEDx um, groups for 5 years, and we had one of our speakers who brilliant, brilliant vocal person. She is an attorney who is used to providing high court. She goes up to the high court regularly and presents a brief, no problem at all. Doesn't get at all flustered.
Hmm.
And there we are on the red circle, dress rehearsal, and she freezes. And she goes, how is it I can be in such a high stress situation in front of the High
Hmm.
Court? Not a problem. And here, and that was my point. You are delivering a well prepared brief about somebody else.
Yeah.
This is you bearing your soul.
Oh, yeah,
It is a totally different ballgame.
totally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. But yes, it is, and it is very cathartic. And you're right. Then, as we're developing the storyline that goes with this, and business authors, this applies to you as well, because you have to give a bit of your origin story as part of the know,
Yeah.
like, trust building.
Right.
And again, this is where it helps you to get your message down, but you may want to stay on the surface, but
Oh
actually
man.
your
It's the
audience
safest
wants,
place.
it's the safest and the most bland place. When I wrote mine, I had a couple of people give me feedback going, Wendy, they knew I was a speech pathologist by training. You're not writing your clinical notes. Don't be so
Oh,
objective. Let's have some subjectivity. Let's have some energy, some feeling about it. Okay. So all those emotions that I put away because I didn't want to deal with them,
yeah.
I had to revisit. So
Absolutely.
authors, you're in for a ride.
Absolutely. Oh, good God.
It is incredibly cathartic. Yeah. Oh, so you've got 2 contributory books out at the moment.
Yes.
Oh, and the first solo work, we're not putting a timeline on it, are we?
No, yes and no, because I
Yes
need
and no.
some sort of structure.
Mhm.
So I had my birthday's in December, and I had told myself, not force myself, but I had spoken to myself and said, all
Yes.
right, let's have a very rough draft
Mhm.
by birthday time. So I think I've done more writing in the last month than I have in 3 years.
Because you've given yourself a timeline.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, writing, and again, audience, you will find this unless you do it in a group situation, particularly writing your own solo work. It can be a
Mhm.
lonely affair.
Oh, yes. All the things you're saying is all the things I've been experiencing. And so I'm really grateful that you're saying them because when you're in it, you think you're in it alone, that no one else will get that. Like, no, because I'm in my home and I tell my husband, okay, I'm just don't talk to me if the door's closed. They don't really understand the process and they're just like, absolutely write your book. But everything you've said is so true. It's you're living it in the experience. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I can't tell you the pile of tissues that I went through. It was
Oh
there
man.
were a fair number of boxes went through, but it was important for me to
Hmm.
process those emotions as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, authors, audience, if you haven't gone there yet and you don't want to, there is a way you can do it without getting completely stuck. I can talk. We
absolutely.
can message each other, and I run a group for authors who can help with that. So that's what prompted you to. I mean, give us a little soupçon, a little hint as to what this book's about. Would you? Is it about the story that you shared with us?
So it's initially my dear friend who owns a little small publishing firm was like, okay, so you have options. You could either write a memoir or you could write a business book.
Mhm.
So a lot of and the reason the business book was so appealing to me is because I thought, I've been a business owner my entire adult life. I
Mm.
don't just know it in terms of being in the field, but I also know it as a person who went back to school for it and realized, okay. So because it was safe, I said to her, I said, I'm going to do a business book. And she's like, great, fantastic. My first little chapter I sent to her and I said, okay, what do you think about this? And she's like, oh, I get it. I see where you're going with this. But can we have a little bit more of you? And I was like, but doesn't everybody just want to know about what I know? And she's like, yes, but it needs to be balanced. There's still human beings reading this who want to know. And oh, this is why I've only made it to 2 chapters in 3 years because like you said, the origin story. What she wanted me to share was, you don't have to write a memoir, but you've got to write an origin story.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that was quite difficult to write because what I didn't realize at the time is I was still in the wound, not in the scar. So I was
Yes.
still in the wound so as I'm writing it, there was this one particular day I was writing, and it was as the sun was setting. And in any household, when the sun is setting, it's going to get dark, so you turn on lights. But I was just in that perfect cusp of sharing on paper, because I like to write it first
Yes. Yes.
before I type it on paper, a little portion of my origin story, and I just started bawling and bawling. I felt like I haven't cried that hard, like that hard. Because
Yes.
I'm an adult, Wendy. I contain my emotions. I cried like a 5-year old. I just was bawling. And as I just kept bawling, I don't even know how long, but I know that the house was dark enough that when my son came into the house, he he's yelling out into the house, hello, hello, hello. He had he came in with the very confident hello to the questioning hello to the worried hello, because no one
Yeah.
was responding and no lights were turning on. And then he could hear the faintness of my crying. a- and he came in the room, and he was genuinely worried because it's dark,
Mm.
and I'm
Mm.
just in this cry, and Mom, are you, he's feeling for me to see if I'm bleeding or something. And I just cried. And then my husband came home, and are you okay? He comforted me. And I finally got some words out. Because when my
Mm.
son came in, he just realized I was doing something he couldn't help with. So he just
Yes.
left, turned on all the lights in the house. And then when my husband came home, I just told him, I said, I'm really scared. I'm really scared to, um, one, love someone again in the way that I loved her, the
Mm-hmm.
friendship, the camaraderie, the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I want to continue being in a business where it's face fronting, where I need to connect with people and grow relationships. And he's like,
Mm.
why? And I said, I just don't want my heart broken again like this. Like, this is very difficult to go through. And he was like, but isn't that life? Is to risk love?
Yes.
Oh, and then I just spent a whole nother hour crying of getting
Yes.
it through. And then he just held me that entire time. And it just kept running through my brain of like, is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk? So
Oh, wonderful.
that's
Thank you
how
in
chapter 2.
advance. Thank you in advance that this is going to be an incredibly powerful book,
Oh my
both from
goodness.
your perspective, because you will have done the inner work to feel, and I mean, I'm sure you experience this when we had your contributory books out, to actually hold something that you have created in print,
Mhm.
and you'll really feel this when it's your first solo book.
Mm.
Oh, the oxytocin rush. Now, I've never given birth. However, when I opened my box of books and I held my book for the first time, I did it live on Facebook. I can't tell you the wave of emotion that went through me. And I can only put it down to oxytocin. And it just. So be prepared that that one is going to knock you over.
Oh my goodness.
Please do
Yeah.
record it. Please do record it, whether you do it live on Facebook or just at least record it on the video, because that moment is so precious.
Yeah.
So precious. Oh. Oh, wonderful. So this is what prompted you to start writing this book. I get it.
Yeah.
And how do you feel? I mean, obviously you've managed to talk about it today, but how do you feel about your speaking journey. I mean, you've been speaking in other situations already. I know not necessarily about the book, but tell us about your speaking journey, would you?
So very interesting. I'm a double Sagittarius. I'm under the sign of fire, like I'm triple fire, all these things. And I'm a very extroverted person. But when I started to express my business online and there's all these opportunities, I was asked to speak and I would say no. And people thought it was just such a contrast of like, wait, hold on, but you're such an extroverted person. You don't want to public speak? No, not at all. Because what you do, page to stage, you can have all the knowledge of the secrets of the world. But when it comes to you, that is the dimension and the unexplored territory of high achieving women
Mm-hmm.
that we do based only on logic, knowledge, and information, but to share us. So I could speak when it came to share what you know about business. Absolutely. Hands down can do it. But when
Yep.
it was, let's share your story, I'm okay. You should give it to somebody else. So the
Yes.
first time I shared it, I'll never forget. It was in front of a crowd of 30, and I knew half the crowd. I knew them. Like I knew them on a personal basis. We've done coffee
Mhm.
together, we've drank wine together. So and I said to myself, don't cry, don't cry, don't you cry, don't you cry, don't you dare. And I came armed with notes because
Yes.
just, that's me. And I came,
Mm-hmm.
oh, notes never came out of the purse.
Mm-hmm.
Tears rolled down my face.
Mm-hmm.
It scarred me so much. I thought I didn't speak again for another like year after that because it was so much. It was so
Yeah.
much of an experience. And so I remember I drove home feeling so empowered because I was able to express that in a semi-professional environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't I at the time I didn't think crying was a professional experience. So, but I was able to regurgitate the language in a way that conveyed to people. And then I got people coming after me afterwards that really felt the
Mm-hmm.
experience and said, "Oh God, you should be a speaker." And I was like, not if I feel this. Like this experience, I'm like, I'm gonna have to get used to this. This is not, it didn't feel anything like sports. There was nothing that I could compare it to,
Mm-hmm.
except for things like saying goodbye to my parents who both passed away, right? Saying goodbye to an uncle. So it was in that way, like, don't want to experience that again. Like saying
Yeah.
goodbye was enough. So a whole year later, I was actually asked by a group, a community, a networking community, now 300 people, um, if they could pay me to speak. And I thought, wow, how do you know I can even do this? And I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I don't know what prompted me. I just said yes, and I prepared prior to. I was doing the speaking in front of. I recorded myself. I did the
Good.
thing, and I got there, and the theme was tea, high noon tea, right?
Oh.
Where everybody's wearing gloves and hats and had tea. It was very posh and beautiful. The setting was gorgeous. And uh but when I get there, there's chaos. The caterer had gotten the dates wrong.
Oh
So nobody
no.
had been fed. They didn't know. So she's in the woman who's the head of this is in such a panic. She comes up to me and she says, I know this is not how we planned it. You were going to be in the middle of the day, but we need you at the very front because we need to send some people out to go get us food. And we need to entertain the crowd because there's no food. there's just I think desserts or something like that. And she's like, would that be okay? Now she doesn't know. This is my only second time ever experiencing speaking. Although I'm prepared and all of that, I didn't realize I'd be the first one up. So now I'm panicked. I
Oh,
came in cool and ready to go because I thought, oh, we'd warm some people up, right? We'd have some little bit of special tea passed around.
hmm
So
hmm
I was, oh, Wendy, I was just like, but I didn't want to stress her out even more because I could see it in her. So I just said, absolutely, I got this. I'll do this. And I get up there and I do it. I just, it, I think because it was under some duress where I was supporting someone else, I was in service to someone that I didn't have time to be panicked with me. So I just delivered it. And then afterwards, it was interesting because I didn't do it to like gain any clientele or anything like that. I just wanted to do it because it's another level of myself that I was challenging. But I walked away with some people who really loved what I offered and was like, I would love to work with you. So
Mm.
it was this thing that I didn't prepare for. I didn't have any agenda on that just turned out to be very beautiful. So then,
Oh, I've
right,
got a
that
couple of
happened.
points I
And
would love to pick up on that one. Absolutely. If you, audience, if you are ever in a speaking situation and the panic sets in, the question is this about you and your feelings, or is this about you serving your audience? When
yeah,
you flip it round to the service, suddenly your your nerves take a back seat because
yes.
you're there in service of other people. You got information that they want, you got to share
Mhm.
it, and yeah, oh, okay. And chances are they're looking at you going, I'm glad it's her, not me.
Right. And the food arrived at the end of my talk, so it was perfect. It was a
Wonderful.
perfect scenario, and it really, you're right, because my mind went directly to I need to serve
Yes.
this audience and
Yes.
support this woman in a panic that
Yeah.
I took a back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. I mean, you're a living example of how that works. That's a
Right.
perfect story, a perfect story. Thank you. And on that front, also, audience, Wonderful has mentioned that a lot of the times you've got that origin story that you don't want to share
Mhm.
because it's a painful situation. Now, when I work with speakers, I have a duty of care. In my book, I have a duty of care to enable you to share your message, still getting the emotions across without you getting stuck in them. Because if you
Yeah.
get stuck in them on stage, well, it's not a therapy session. You get stuck in them and your audience gets drawn in and they're going, I don't really be here. I didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
So I work with my speakers to get them to language it in such a way that you still convey the emotion without getting stuck
Mhm.
because you're focusing on the other side. You've got past the miry mud, and it's
Mhm.
that they want to hear. They want to hear that you got stuck in the mud, but they also want to hear how you got out of it because that's what they want to take away.
Right. And you know what's the beauty of what you just said is that was right. I by that second experience of sharing my origin story with a wider audience, uh it there was this process of healing in
Yes,
it, which
absolutely.
wasn't apparent because I didn't cry in that one, right? The first time
Mhm.
I shared it in front of the 30, there's I cried. Not
Yes,
boo-hoo cry like that dark night, but it still conveyed some emotion that allowed me to tear up. But in the second time I shared it, it didn't have the same hold. And that's when I
yes,
knew and I was like, okay, there is something to healing instead of suppressing
definitely.
that needs
Oh,
to happen.
mm,
And then started my journey of my working with a forgiveness coach for about 2 years from that
Mm,
experience.
mm.
And I think that's why today the book, I will have a rough draft
By
by
your birthday.
December.
Yes. Yes. Audience, I'm going to have a catch up with Wonderful off camera and find out the date. I'll keep you posted. Keep you posted. Wonderful. So brilliant. We've talked about what's prompted you to start writing and how we're moving through this draft version. We've talked a bit about your speaking. You were telling me before we started, before I hit record, that you've got a couple of speaking gigs coming up very soon.
I do actually on the 20th and on the 24th. So,
Of September
which is this
2025.
weekend. Yeah, this
Yeah.
weekend and next week. Um, and what's interesting is I've had little speaking experiences, in terms of being interviewed on podcasts where I've shared my origin story multiple
Mhm.
times, and where I have been in networking as a guest speaker, networking groups. Um, but when I decided to get back into, so about 2 months ago, I was like, okay, it's time. It's time. It's time for me to, not this get serious, let's write on paper, but it's time for me now to revisit this space called writing this book. And then I
Mhm.
made a commitment. I verbalized it. I put it on paper. Then I told my family. I told my husband, I told my kids, I said, okay, here's the deal. Then I told a couple of friends, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start writing. And then one of those friends, she was on me like, okay, every Monday I'm going to reach out and
Mhm.
see how you're doing, not to see what page you're on or how many numbers, but how it's going. So I said, okay, great. Thank you so much. And since then these they say in that book, The Alchemist, when you ask, the universe conspires for you to have it. So that's actually
Mhm.
what happened because I committed to it and I verbalized it. All of a sudden, these people reached out and was like, hey, would you like to speak at this event and at this?
Mhm.
And one of them, both of them are in person. It's in front of
Oh,
people. So it's quite
fabulous.
interesting to
Mm.
just be prepared, people.
Mhm.
When you
Yeah.
commit to it, the
Yes.
universe conspires on your behalf to make it
Yes.
happen.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
fantastic. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, so we talked about your writing, we talked about your speaking. When you speak from stage, how do you embody your words? How do you take them from page to stage?
oh, that is such a great question. If you had asked me that a year ago, I would have said scared, 100% in all fear. However, this time last year, I decided to take a sabbatical. I decided to
Mhm.
take a step back from life and business, and I was only going to be gone for a month. And I ended up being gone for the rest of the entire year. And
Right.
I had to, what I didn't realize then is, I think like most of us, we can build lives, tear down lives, rebuild lives, expand our experience because we are a species that can collect data and then use that data to make decisions. But where we struggle, where writing a book, I think for me was my biggest struggle, is data within myself. Like, who am I? How do
Mhm.
I experience myself? Not experience life, but experience myself. So,
Yes.
in this sabbatical, I would do this thing, excuse my language, shut the fuck up mornings where I didn't plan. I'm a very task-oriented human. I'm a goal-achieving person. I like to
Yep.
write all the things, even if it's do laundry, I like to write all the things. And I just decided not to do it. I would just get up and I would be with myself until I
Yeah.
could hear myself. Oh, and that was not, I thought, "Pfft, I got this. I've done harder things. Oh, the
Mm.
hardest thing I've ever done in my life is to
Mhm.
be with myself."
Yes.
I didn't realize that is embodying. Like we
Yes.
can convince ourselves of embodying in our brain because we're doing it out of fear, sheer survival mode. Like I'm not going to die on this stage, so I'm going to do whatever it takes. But to
Mhm.
actually fully embody is you have to really know thyself. And not know
Yes.
thyself of like my molecules are blah 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 blah, my blood type is blah blah, but know myself enough to know what anxiety feels like versus excitement, what
Yeah.
love feels like versus desperation, what, right? All the feelings that have a lot of mixed messages, and to really
Mm.
decipher within myself. So that was the stage. And then when I decided to come back into the fold of human existence in January, my husband and I had taken a trip together to Palm Springs where we were surrounded, not by, it was just by chance, we were surrounded by a lot of humans over the age of 80. And their
Okay.
wealth of wisdom was perfect timing because
Mhm.
they were just at the stage where they had lived their lives to the fullest. And, they're pulling up in their Maseratis and fancy cars or like golf carts because it's a very strong golf community. And
Mhm.
they would just share with us, like, have a plan, but enjoy your life,
Yes.
right? See the end first and then plan now to meet that end.
Mhm.
There was this very wise, I think he was 92-year-old gentleman who was like, how do you see where do you want to be when you're 80 years old? What do you want to be looking at? And we explored, and he goes, when I was 50 years old, and I was at the time in my career, and he had had a big career with an airplane company and just made all the things. And he said he knew when he was 80 years old, he wanted to be sitting on a veranda looking out at a golf hole. He knew it. He knew it. He was in his office, in four walls. He said he knew at 80 years old, he would be sitting happy hour in his veranda with a beer and looking out at hole whatever. He goes, I didn't care what hole, but I wanted it to be in front of the hole. I didn't want to just live on a golf course. I wanted to live where I was looking at a hole. And I thought, okay. And he goes, and here I am. I live in front of hole 11. And he said, and what I did was I knew where I wanted to be at 80 and I'm 50 years old. So I started planning that day what 80 would how I would get to that 80.
Yeah.
And so I
Whoa.
walked away from this experience of 14 days going, okay, have a plan, but don't be so rigid. And to not be rigid, you have to embody. You have to
Mm.
embody what that feels like. You have to know what it feels. You can't just know what hole 11 looks like. You can't just know how much money it's going to take. You have to feel into what it's like sitting on that veranda. And so I feel that embodying the words is not regurgitating or reciting what you've written down. It's to
Mhm.
feel the experience of
Yes.
that moment. And it's really hard to share your painful, if your origin story is painful, and still be in the wound. So I knew I needed some
True.
healing because
Mm.
that's where my story starts. If it was like not that version, if my origin story, it was like I fell in love and we get, but it would be a different level of healing and
Yeah.
embodying. But I had been already working through forgiveness. So I knew then that I could tell the story from my scar. And that's where
Yeah.
I feel so, with the balance of in service to the audience and being
Mhm.
in my scar versus my wound, I think I'm able to embody my words at a different level today.
Mm. Oh, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Wonderful. Because you're quite right. It's the speaking from the scars and not the wounds, because that is so, so important. Oh, precious time, precious time. Okay. So we've talked about your speaking, your writing, embodying your words. We know we've got this book that's in draft form. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience about what you're working on at the moment?
Well, I made it to chapter 5. So I'm working on that. And now I would like to what I'm working on, oh, this is sort I haven't even shared this with anyone yet. So I'm kind of like, just say it.
Exclusive. We've got an
Just say it.
exclusive.
I really want to be able to express bits of my story on a platform like this, podcasting. So I really have a three-prong type of idea, strategy, where because I work with healers and coaches that
Mhm.
are sort of in the same realm that you're in, where I'm helping them be invisible in the world of their industry and in the world because they sound like each other. They're
Yeah.
blending in, they're not standing out, to being a magnetic energy, to being a magnetic human.
Mm.
But I need to do that for me too. And in order for that to happen, I just want to say there's no amount of strategy, there's no amount of magic pill, there's no amount of golden egg that you can buy into in a world of 8 billion people that will not help you stand out unless you share you. You are the magic sauce. And
Yeah.
I'm really good again at sharing what I know about business, but I haven't quite shared, other than in my private little writing sessions, me.
Mm.
So that's what I'd like to do now, is what I'm working on is twofold: helping myself share my depth, and then helping my clients in their magnetic messaging. So I think how I'm going to break through that is at the end of October, I'm offering a free 3-day event of how we can take this, our messaging, from boring to magnetic. Because if I'm going to do it, you're going to do it.
Well, I'm wondering, wonderful, can we have a link for that to go in the show notes?
When I have it, I will get it to you, because, like I said, you're the first who I'm sharing it with, because it's just really been, when I was growing up, I would get all upset about something from school, and my mom would always, or stressed out, and my mom would always say, the best way to not be sucked into your own little world is to go help somebody else.
Yes,
And if you help
got
somebody
it.
else, because there's always a balance that us humans need, where there's self-care within us, but then there's service to others too. So
Yes.
that's why I am offering this free 3 days, is because it also supports me on my journey of embodying my words,
Yes. Yeah.
because
Well,
that's how we
audience,
get
the reason I'm
magnetic.
asking for this, the reason I'm asking for the link is because if you haven't come across my podcast yet until now, I do what I call dynamic show notes. So
Mm,
when we have the guest who comes back to me and says, "Oh, by the way, XYZ's happening. I've got something new coming out. I've got a new book." Da, da, da. I go, "Oh, have you? Give me the updated link." I go back and change the show notes because the show
mm,
notes are there forever after. But I will
yeah.
also do a quick ping onto my socials to go, "Do you remember that brilliant conversation we had with Wonderful? Well, guess what? She's got the link ready. Go and check it out. Go back to have a listen to the conversation because it was really good. And by the way, there's the link in the show notes. Go check it out."
Mm, thank
That's the
you.
service that I
Yes.
offer. And this podcast episode is going to go out in October anyway, so we'll make sure I've got from you the exact date for that,
Yeah,
and I'll shuffle things around so that we put it out just before.
for sure. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. As we're winding up, then, wonderful, have you got any final words of wisdom for us?
Oh my goodness, so many. So many, but I just truly believe that that what magnetism truly is as a you get so many advice going, let your light shine, be who you are, allow the world to see you, which is all fantastic, but it's an external experience. But I believe that when you to be the most magnetic version of yourself, where you are not sitting in safe, you're not sitting in don't look at me, but I want to be seen. I want to be heard, but I don't want to be too loud, right?
Hmm.
Those spaces is you are your magic sauce. You are it. You are it. That's all. There's nothing. You are it. And how to excavate that out of you is why people like you exist. People
Yeah.
like you exist because I don't think we're meant to do this on our own. We're not
No.
meant to dig out and excavate it. Because if we were, we would already be doing it, people. We
Correct.
need the Wendy's in the world to help us excavate our own stories and to be in the scar of it, not in the wound of it, and to express it in a way that only you can express it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the truth.
Oh, powerful, powerful stuff. Wonderful. Thank you so very much for sharing with us your from page to stage.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a joy because now as I'm expressing it to you, I can feel myself one level stronger in that story. So thank you for the opportunity.
You're so welcome. For now, audience, bye from us.